Hello, my name is Elizabeth Lusher, and this is my video on technology in the science classroom, part of Module 5. So, our overview. These are the technology resources I use in my classroom. I use Prezi Interactive Presentations, PhET simulations, Google Classroom, and I use Screencast-O-Matic. Really, I use that hand in hand with Prezi presentations, so I'm going to be talking about those two together. Other miscellaneous resources I use would include Google Slides and Google Docs, various lab equipment such as microscopes and other lab equipment, Chromebooks, a TV with Chromecast, and YouTube, as well as many other websites and resources out there. So the first piece of technology I'd like to highlight really is two in one. It would be Prezi presentations and Screencast-O-Matics. So why do I use Prezi and Screencast? I find them engaging. Prezi is a lot more developed than PowerPoint or Google Slides. There's a lot more you can do with it, and my students seem to engage more with it. It's pretty to look at. It's got a lot of aesthetics, and my students seem to really connect with that. Prezi does a good job of creating concept webs. PowerPoint and some of those other software like that are very linear, whereas Prezi doesn't have to be. You can do them linear, but with Prezi, I like to set it up as a concept web so you can really see how these ideas are building on each other, which is very important in some of these classes like biology, where one thing builds on the next. And then I use this to create a flipped classroom model. So I create a Prezi presentation, I record it with Screencast-O-Matic, and then I assign that as a homework assignment to watch the presentation, answer 2 to 3 questions about it in a Go formative document, and then come to class prepared to either discuss what we've learned or to do a hands-on lab simulation, something like that, where we can really delve deeper into the content. So I don't have to stand there and talk all the time. The students can get that at home, and we can come to class ready to work together. So here is an example of a Prezi presentation flipped classroom I assigned to my students a couple of weeks ago. It's really the middle of a lesson on micro and macro evolution. So we're going to start out looking at some natural selection, and it really, what I want you to get out of this is how Prezi builds on itself as that concept web. It's really a neat program. So first off, let's look at the stone Betularia. Let's look at what they look like. Here are the dark moth and the light moth. On the left, you can see there's one dark moth there. I'll circle it with my mouse. Here he is right there. And on the right, there's a light moth here and a dark moth here. Now you may be noticing a few things about these moths. Let's come back to our evidence. So why did this frequency of moths change? The moth. So in that short clip, you could see how we can bounce back and forth between levels of ideas. We can go from the broad idea of microevolution, we can zoom into a specific species, we can bounce back out to the broader idea, and then we can go into another specific. And that's what I really like about Prezi. It really brings that sort of alive so the students can see those concepts. The next software I really enjoy in my classes is PhET Interactive Simulations. This is actually created by the University of Colorado, and these are hands-on virtual labs. And what I like about these labs is that they are much safer than just giving your students the supplies and having them have the live real supplies in front of them at first. I like doing both. Also, this is much more cost effective than doing the live labs. So I wanted to give you an example of this. I'm going to take us out of our presentation here and into PhET interactive simulations. And this is, as you can see, the circuit construction kit lab. These are DC circuits, not that that means anything right now. But I did this lab with my middle school students the other day, and I want to show you what the first thing they did was. They took a battery and plopped it down. They took one wire, set it there, take another wire, set it here, and a light bulb. Now, this may look like a very simple circuit and very easy to do, but if I connect it together, watch what happens to the battery. My battery's set low. Let me turn it up a little. Huh, didn't work that time. Oh, here we go. Interesting. Well, that's funny because the last time I did this is what happened. Let's try again. That's what happened. That's what I was looking for. This is what happened when my students first started playing with this lab. See this little flame? If this was a real live hands-on lab, we would have fire on our desks. So that's why I really like PhET simulations. Is it's a safer way of doing these same labs without students setting their desks on fire. So this is my lesson plan I did with this. We looked at how to create a circuit, how to use certain testers, it won't go back, how to use voltmeters, all these wonderful things in a safe and secure environment before I actually gave them real wires, real batteries, and we created solar cell phone chargers. So that's why I use PhET interactive simulation. And then lastly, I use Google Classroom. My students already have experience with it. Our middle school teachers start them in Google Classroom in just 4th grade, so they're really familiar with it by the time they get to me. It helps them stay organized. They can log into their Google account from anywhere, and their assignments are all listed. They know what's due. Their notes can all be there. And it's convenient because all of their information for all of their classes are all in one place. So let me open it up and take you into Google Classroom here. This is actually an old Earth space class. I've populated it into it. But let me show you how it works. I've got in the center my just things I want them to see. This can range from videos. This was another flipped classroom assignment, so they had to watch this video and then write a short paragraph of their opinion on it. We've got some presentations so they can take notes off of them. And then we have Go Formative assignments. This is actually like a quiz, so they can log on and take their quiz and submit it to me, and I'll have their assignment. So on the left here, it's all organized for them. They can sort by different topics, and they can see what assignment is due and when it's due. And if they have missed a due date, it will email them and tell them, hey, you missed this due date. Are you going to submit this assignment? So really, they have very few excuses not to get their homework done, and it really does help them know to get things done. So potential changes and adaptations to technology use in my classroom. The first thing I'd like to see happen is I would like to see myself increase the use of Screencast-O-Matic for flipped classroom. I'm finding it really hard to find time right now to create these flipped classroom lessons, but I'm hoping next year, and especially the year after, once I'm done with my Fort Hays classes, that I will be able to devote more time to creating these at-home lessons for my students. The second thing I'd like to see happen would be to find more virtual resources like PhET, but for biology and for environmental science. PhET has some wonderful robotics and physics and even chemistry simulators, but it's really lacking in biology and environmental science. So I'd like to see some resources for those classes. And lastly, I'd like to utilize Google Classroom tools like GoFormative more. This year I had a hard time getting new students into GoFormative, and I'd like to see that become more useful for my classroom. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great afternoon.